welcome to a new Harry's Garage video, and today's car is this, the i4 M50. i4 means it's all electric, and why I got this car in, this is the first electric car from the M division. If I quote from the brochure, the first fully electric M car. That's quite a statement and quite a moment, I think, for all car enthusiasts when an M electric car comes along. And you're probably just looking at it and thinking, well, hang on a minute, it just looks like an M4. Well, you're correct, because this i4 actually is the same body shell, etc. But instead of having an internal combustion engine, it's got an electric motor. The list price is £63,000. This one, as it stands here, £76,600. I find that quite an interesting number, because you could actually buy an M4 for the same money. Anyway, let's go and have a closer look, see what this all-electric M car is all about. Front. So what marks this car out as an M car? Well, obviously the M badge there. This design, well, we're just going to have to get used to it. This is the new BMW look with these enormous, great cartoon-like kidneys on the front. All sorts of tech apparently under here. You can see the radar there. With the M car connection where you get carbon fibre there for some vent that seems to come out in the wheel arch there. This is all blank. There's not a lot going on at the front, because obviously there's not an engine at the front. Come round, this car has the optional 20-inch wheels on it. They all come with bigger brakes on this M version of the i4. Carbon here, mirrors. Keep coming around. What do we got? Oh, you can see this is the M50 version, because it's got a carbon rear spoiler as well. And underneath was a sort of rear diffuser-esque thing. It's not really, but it's got these that sort of mark out where exhaust pipes might have lived had this been a proper M4. But one thing quite impressive is actually this is a hatched. The M4 is not a booted car. You do get a hatchback like that, seats flip down, so reasonable practicality. Now, what I haven't actually mentioned in all of this is the weight of this car. And when I spotted it on the spec, I couldn't believe quite how heavy this car was. M4 is 1,800 kilos, and we're all grumbling about that because that seemed quite a heavy car in its own right. It had 510 horsepower to shift it along and 3.9 seconds to 62. This car is 2,290 kilos as it stands here before I get in it. 2,290 kilos, that is 475 kilos heavier than an M4. It's also heavier than a Cayenne Turbo, Lamborghini Urus. It's up there with a sort of Range Rover SVR or something like that. How can you make an M car that heavy? 2,290 kilos. Fortunately, it's got some grunt in it with a big battery. It's 80.7 kilowatt hour battery. It's got four-wheel drive, so it's got an extra motor at the front here, as well as one in the rear, and the performance is about the same. So the 0 to 62 times the same, 3.9 seconds, but my goodness, that's a lot of weight to shift. I should actually just show you where the motor lives, because you can actually pop the bonnet on this car, unlike that iX. And there you go. There's the engine for your new M car. Yes, there's an awful lot of plastic, but it is removable, we've discovered this morning. If I take that out, there you go. What have we got under here? Well, look at things. We've got some inverter going on here. You can see the motor sitting down there. I don't know if this is an air conditioning unit or something, I suspect, I don't know. And steering column down there. Not a pretty sight at all. Lots of tech going on in there. But yes, at least you can open the bonnet. Why you ever would, once you've seen that, I'm not so sure. Anyway, what I'm going to do, put that cover back on, take it outside, take it for a drive. Yeah, you get in, all very familiar if you've driven the new 3 or 4 series, shall we say, the M4. Typical layout here, but then this wrap round, this one sort of stretched iPad right across the dash that has your display here, and then all the other functions you can do with BMW these days with their infotainment system. Yeah, I'm staying at a range of 206 miles of 97% battery. We'll come on to that in a moment. I press a blue start button, all comes into life. And yeah, it starts off, if I just move the lever backwards, it's all very quiet, and we start off in this sort of comfort mode. You also get the M seats here as well, just the same as M4 really. Nice little flash of blue everywhere in here on the lever. Carbon across the dash, this being from M division. So what I'm going to do now, head out onto some better road, and you'll join me in a moment. Quite like when you pull out of it, you actually see the indicator work on the screen. You probably see it better if I indicate left. There we are, flashes away, and it's in the colour of the car. Yeah, little things that keep us happy. Just in here, there's cup holders here. There's wireless charging for your phone as well. So yeah, all pretty civilised. Well, this is my little squirt up the hill. That's perfect. So I'm going to select Sport, and you'll see Sport Boost is ticked there. That actually gives it full 540 horsepower. Normally it's 60 horsepower light, and I'm expecting it to absolutely thump up here. So here we go. God mighty. Yeah, little. I mean, that is what electric cars do. It's their star turn. It's just the way they just pick up speed, and instantaneous, no changing down. There's no nothing, just a wallop of power. It's torque as well as horsepower, because it's that instantaneous dump of electric torque, and especially if you've got the Sport Boost button ticked. There is also a different sound. They work quite hard, that just, you know, part of M division have been working out what it should sound like, a performance electric car. Apparently this is it. I can't load it up very often, because otherwise I'm doing silly speeds and will get arrested. But you get the gist of the sound there. Or I can go and press Eco Pro, and Eco Pro means it's silent, utterly silent, no generated sounds whatsoever. This is just a road noise, and that's all I'm getting now. It is quiet, this car. It's very odd when you get into electric cars. You can hear sounds. You hear a bit of wind rustle, you hear tyres, and you think, oh, it's surprising how noisy it is. Until you get a noise meter out and then measure it at 67 or 68 decibels, which is really quiet. It's just your ear has no other mechanical sounds to pick up on. I don't think there's a launch control. It doesn't really need it with four-wheel drive, and it will all sort it out itself out, I am sure. So odd just being in silence, but here we go. Whoa. It did manage the torque very well there. There was a little bit of scrabble just as we went off. Down here, I mean, it's electric power steering. It's reasonable ride quality. It's quite bumpy, this road. That's why I use it. It is a rubbish bit of road. I might just put it back to comfort, just I want to see what it feels like. Steering weighting goes a bit lighter. It is fairly pointy on the front of the. I'm expecting it's got P0 tyres. I think they're 235, 285 with the rear 20-inch wheels on this car. Yeah, it doesn't swallow the bumps completely. As I say, this is a testing bit of road. It is reasonably comfortable though, for the performance on offer. You know, once you're in the 3s to 60, you're in a pretty special sort of car. But yeah, a Tesla would ride down here better, but for an M car, it's perfectly livable with. Yeah, I'm just going to mention range again, because I've had this car a few days. I'm looking at the range now, 203 miles, and I've done 10 miles. But I had to go into London. You might have watched, I did a Silverstone auction video, and I took this in 64 miles to the RAF museum from my house, and set off. I think it was 217 miles when I set off, and it was just motorway, and it was not using any performance as such. Low 70 cruise on the motorway, radar cruise, probably slower on the M25 and things, and into London. And I'm a bit shocked at when I got back to the car after doing the recording, how many miles I had left. It was about 112 miles left. It had used 100 miles to do predicted range, to do 64 miles. That's not good. At the time we got home, and had 48 miles left. So a total usable range of 180 miles, even less than the 217 it predicted, and way below the figure BMW will quote you, the WLTP, of 318 miles. Try it on this compression. I just want my in. I'm in comfort at the moment. Yeah, you can feel it trying to control the mass as well. God, yeah. It has performance, obviously, because of the amount of grunt it's got. The brake, it's just a different brake pedal because it's, yeah, you can change that. I can move that across there and have more regenerative braking. So yeah, it's almost one pedal drive and it's much more aggressive. Braking is so odd. When you've got so much regen, you hardly ever, there's no changing down, there's no picking a gear around here. And let's see what it does in it. Oh, it understeers badly, and then I can feel the power go to the back as it come out of there. It is quick. I mean, there's no getting away. It can deploy that 540 horsepower, and you end up going quite quickly. Yeah, so I'm moving on to the lights of this car. Well, it is addictive. This easy, accessible performance, it's just there, just a pull. You cannot help but tap into it because there's nothing like a performance electric car just to boggle your mind of how easy it is to charge down the road. Forget the weight of the car, doesn't seem to matter. This thing just... The other thing I like about this car, I do like the layout of BMW and how they use their infotainment and the voice over, the way I can use this as a little pad up here, putting destinations in. All works superbly well. They've absolutely cracked it. Obviously, that's about it for the likes. Go to the dislikes. I really don't know where to start with this car. It's an M car, so I was expecting the very best from BMW. But those dynamics, there's only so much they can do. And 2,290 kilos compromises dynamics, and that's what M is all about. I'm staggered at how heavy this car has turned out. And they've tried to manage it with a four-wheel drive, so there's only four-wheel drive available. You can't have a two-wheel drive 50M, which might have been quite fun. This car is not an M car. They state it's the first all-electric M car. Well, come on, M-Power, you can do better than this. Look at your back catalogue, and you're trying to tell me this is an M car with these dynamics at that weight. M is way more than just super high straight line performance and bits of carbon on the outside. You are about dynamics, driver involvement. You are the ultimate driver's machine. This is not the ultimate driver's machine. Yes, it's got straight line performance, but you can't make 2,290 kilos in a 3 Series handle like an M car. You need a technology change. I mean, it's scary to me that if BMW can't make an electric sports car after all the practice, since i3 and i8, where are we heading for the performance car sector? The M4 is such a better car than this. It's enjoyable, it has the dynamics, two-wheel drive, great straight six, easy to live with. Don't feel pressurised that you have to buy an electric car today. The outside charge network unfortunately is still compromised, and the car, as how we enjoy our cars, is compromised too. A range of under 200 miles is simply not good enough, and especially at £80,000. I would just buy the Tesla instead of this. So first real disappointment of 2022, the i4 from M-Power. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it's given you some guidance of what this car is like to drive. Keep watching the videos, keep subscribing, more videos coming along very soon. Thanks for watching.